welcome to the live Q&A broadcast for the School of Construction Management Technology at Purdue University. To all the students watching who have been admitted to one of our majors here, congratulations! We are here and we're so glad to share some time with you and your family tonight. My name is Rosita Lopez and I'm the lab technician here at Construction Management Technology. We've got two professors, an academic advisor, and two current students who will be on our panelists tonight, and they'll introduce themselves soon. You can submit questions via the YouTube chat window by signing into your Google account and typing them in. Harley Barta, who is our student success specialist, and our technical director, John O'Malley, will be monitoring the chat to try to answer your questions and to send your questions my way. If we don't get to your questions tonight, don't worry about it. Please feel free to send a follow-up email to techrecruit@purdue.edu and we'll respond later. Okay, it's time to ask our panelists to introduce themselves with your name, your position in the college, and a little about the courses you teach for our faculty. Mark, let's start with you.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. My name is Mark Zimpfer. I'm an associate professor of practice, which is a really long way of saying I come from industry. I've got about 37 years of experience and almost 30 years of owning my own construction company. I teach a little bit of everything from our CM 100 class, which is the Introduction to Construction Management, CM 150, Materials and Methods, our senior capstone class, which is CM 450, and I also teach the two residential specialization classes in our program.
Wow, how many? That was a handful. Thank you, Mark. Good evening, Bryan. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Bryan Hubbard. I'm a professor here in our School of Construction Management Technology. Been part of the program for about 20 years, or been part of Purdue about 20 years. I am a Boilermaker. Prior to coming to Purdue, I worked a lot with power plants and building power plants around the country and around the world. What I teach a course, obviously, in industrial construction, which talks about building, solar, wind, different types of pharmaceutical facilities, all different types of power and manufacturing systems. I also teach in our design and construction integration program. It's a relatively new program where we focus on not only construction, but we give students some of the aspects of being a designer and working in that area. So they're more adept with working in the area between design and construction. And lastly, I teach some estimating and some law courses. I've kind of taught the gambit over all my years here.
You've dabbled.
I have.
Perfect. All right, Danielle, go ahead.
Hello, I am Danielle Gilbert. I am one of 3 of the academic advisors in the School of Construction Management. I too am a Boilermaker, and I've been an advisor here for about 12 years.
Nice. Yep, you've been around. Okay. All right, so we've got our student panelists as well. Go ahead, if you could please tell us your name, your major, and where you're from. Nick, you're up.
Good evening. I'm Nicholas Guevara. I'm a junior in the Construction Management Technology program, and I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Awesome. All right. And Luke, it's your turn.
Hey guys, I'm Luke Thesier. I'm also in construction management and actually also from Indianapolis.
Sweet. All right, perfect. Well, okay, I like to just say welcome again to our viewers. One more time, let's get started by talking about the 3 majors in the School of Construction Management Technology. Danielle, the first question's for you. Here at Purdue in West Lafayette, we've got 3 construction-related majors. There is Construction Management Technology itself. The second is the Design and Construction Integration. And the third is Building Information Modeling. Could you please just give us a quick overview about maybe what's similar, what's different about them?
Yeah, I think the most obvious kind of underlying similarity is that they're all construction related. Construction management is a mixture of just that: construction classes, management classes, the design and construction integration, as Professor Hubbard said, is a mixture of design and construction. We take kind of the pre-construction classes that the construction management students take, and then mix it with some more design classes to give them that design studio kind of experience. And the building information modeling is a lot more computer-based than the other majors. We integrate new technologies, focused mainly on 3D modeling, and there is also a little bit of programming where the other two majors do not focus on any sort of computer programming like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool just to see all the modeling and like what they've got going on. Perfect. Well, Bryan, next question is for you. What makes the construction management technology major so popular with both the students and employers?
So yeah, we're one of the most popular programs on campus. And I think a lot of it's just to do with getting students ready for a career. They are ready after their 4 years here to go out into the world and have a very successful career. We have a number of employers. We have more employers than what we have students for, where our students are in very high demand. So we talk about 100% placement, but you know, it kind of exceeds that almost, because we have so many good industry people looking for talented people to go out and work in this industry. It's a great industry to work in. You're going to hear a lot more about it tonight, but it covers the spectrum of from residential to commercial buildings, homes, hospitals, up to power plants, manufacturings, roads, bridges, those types of things. So there's so much to do in this that students can typically find something that they want to leave their mark in the world and build.
That's awesome. Well, Mark, we're on to you now. Construction management technology is so much more than just learning skills that involves a variety of construction trades, right? So students gain experience in a wide variety of skills, and that's important. But what's your take on why it's construction management technology and not just construction technology?
It's a great question. I mean, we do have a lot of hands-on labs, and we're adding more in the future, right? And that's not to be trained as a tradesperson. There's other avenues to be trained that way, but it's to give our construction managers an appreciation for what the trades have to do. And it also hits multiple learning styles. If we have you watch a video and read about it, and then we talk about it in class, and then you have to do it in the lab, and then you have to work with your team on a project about it, we can hit multiple learning styles for one topic. But our goal is to teach construction managers. Somebody has to run that 3-ring circus, right, of the job site. And some of these job sites, it could be down to an individual home, which will still have 100+ trade workers on it, or it could be like the large Lilly project in Lebanon, Indiana, $3.8 billion with thousands upon thousands of trade workers, lots of communication. Somebody has to organize all of that. And that's what we teach. You know, what does it take to run these jobs from a documentation standpoint, a contract standpoint? But I think most importantly, what does it take to communicate with all these different parties that are involved in a project? The owner, inspectors, trades, suppliers, zoning officials, it might be the EPA, just everybody that would be involved in a project. And that's what a construction manager does, right? They're problem solvers, they're critical thinkers, they're creative thinkers. And that's what we try to bring out in our students to prepare them to go run these projects. And I will say it's changed. You know, I've been here for 8 years now. 8 years ago, a student would come out and they might be given a 2 or 3 year kind of apprenticeship with their new job. We're gonna slow walk you into your career. Now the way the industry is, students come out and they are running projects very early in their career, and I think that's our industry has confidence in what Purdue does with our department and with our students. But that means our students need to be ready to hit the ground running.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in our program, we do the team teaching, so I think that really helps give students an opportunity, to have a wider range of what they're learning, and it incorporates it constantly. So that's great.
Absolutely.
All right, Nick, I'd like to ask about your interest back in high school. How did those interests lead you to majoring in construction management technology, and why did you choose Purdue for it?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up in a family where most of my uncles, my father, they're all tradesmen, and my father took me to work with him constant over summer break and whatnot, every vacation I had. So that really piqued my interest in construction. And my sister is a Polytechnic grad, or yeah, grad, and she talked to me. She's like, Nick, you have to come to Purdue. It's fantastic out here. And seeing where this school has taken her in her career, I want to follow in her footsteps and put the two together. And that's why I chose construction management here at Purdue Polytechnic.
Yeah, that's great. You getting introduced to it early on. I think that helps a lot. It's not just, going to college, but seeing what you can do afterwards. That's really cool. Luke, hey Luke. Same question for you. So why'd you choose your major and why Purdue?
Yeah, so I've always liked working with my hands. My dad and I were always outside doing little projects, always on Legos. So I kind of knew, and then later on, I was obsessed with just construction throughout middle school and high school, and then I had a great mentor in high school to help me narrow it down to what major it was that I wanted to do. And then, both my parents went to Purdue, so it's kind of given that I was going to end up here as well. So
Nice. Wow, that's awesome. All right, Danielle. All right, so the building information modeling major, whew, was added several years ago. Is it safe to assume that this major has a very strong emphasis on computer graphics for the construction industry?
Yes, it does. It focuses mainly on 3D modeling, and students will start working that way from their freshman year through their senior year. So, yes, it is an exciting new major that has been around, but we've just welcomed into the School of Construction Management.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, bring it on. All right, perfect. Now, Danielle, another question for you. Sorry, not really. Um, let's talk briefly about plans of study, right? So for the three majors, are courses similar during the first year, but then different afterwards? And how soon do the students get involved in hands-on learning?
Yeah, so no matter which of the three majors you're in, you're going to take an English composition, you're going to take a speech, you're going to take pre-calculus, you're going to take calculus, which, by the way, calculus is the highest level of math that we go. A lot of questions will be answered with that, hopefully. So just like the gen eds are very similar, the university has something called the university course. So all three majors have to hit those areas. No matter what major, you're all going to take a graphics class in your very first semester as well. After that, we're going to branch off a little bit. The design and construction integration and construction management kind of stay together in their first 3 semesters and then branch off just a little bit in some differences. Building information modeling, though, is mostly going to keep you in the computer lab in its actual classes. So they're all going to be hands-on in their own way. You may be able to be in a lab swinging a hammer, getting that kind of feeling. You may be in a lab doing some scheduling, using some scheduling software, estimating software, whatever it is that we're using in industry. We try to stay relevant. Or you may just be sitting at a computer lab doing some design work, doing some building information modeling, 3D modeling.
Okay. So, I mean, there's plenty to keep you busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Bryan, how do the concentrations work? in the plan of study for construction management technology? And when do students get to choose them?
So I think it's good to kind of just talk a bit about just concentrations in general. First of all, this industry is huge, and we try as best we can to teach you the basics of construction, but there's so many different things and so many areas you can go into in the construction world that we have these concentrations. But regardless of whether you do a concentration or not, or which concentration you go in, you're always working to try to build a building efficiently, on time, on budget, and very safely. So we have these concentrations so students can, if they really know what they want to do when they're done, they can really do a deep dive into these areas, or they can take a smattering of all of these different courses as they go through the curriculum. So we do have 5 concentrations. Residential, which Professor Zimpfer here manages that, so he can talk more on that. But there is mechanical, electrical, plumbing, MEP. That's a second concentration. We have one specialized for healthcare. So that gets into the hospitals and medical clinics and things like that. We've got one that's specifically for bigger infrastructure projects. We call it an infrastructure concentrations, which covers roads, bridges, rail, and the industrial portion that I talked about earlier with the power and manufacturing. And then finally, we have a demolition management and disaster restoration degree as well that's pretty highly specialized. And so students, like I said, can focus in on one of those concentrations, or they can take courses across many of those different ones and explore the different areas. As far as going into them, typically we start seeing students go into the concentration courses their junior year. At that time, they've had at least probably one internship, and they're starting to find their way as far as what they really want to do, or at least to kind of test out. So it gives a nice option to connect in a more specialized area of construction.
Well, that's perfect. Mark, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'd just say that that was one nice change we made to the curriculum, was to open up the concentrations and change how we teach those classes so that students could take more than one concentration. Because as Professor Hubbard alluded to, there's a lot of bleed over from one to another, right? If you're interested in healthcare, it makes sense to take that concentration, but it also makes sense to get maybe an MEP concentration as well, because there's so much mechanical, electrical, and plumbing in healthcare. By the same token, healthcare and residential go together. When we look at assisted living facilities, retirement communities, so it's a mix of residential and healthcare. So I think that's been a pleasant change that we've made to the curriculum to let our students explore a little bit, see what they have an interest in, or just build their portfolio before they leave our program.
That is awesome. I would definitely be interested in demolition. Take it down. All right, perfect. All right, Mark. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the brand new state-of-the-art building that is now home to the School of Construction Management Technology. Pretty awesome. Dudley and Lambertus Hall. It's open to the students as of January 2023, right? So Mark, Dudley and Lambertus Hall is now home to all the faculty and staff offices in our school, plus several state-of-the-art laboratories. Would you please tell us a little bit about the labs and the new students that'll get to use the entire time while they're at Purdue? Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
we are very fortunate with our new facilities. They are, I guess the best way to put this, it's basically the difference between, say, economy class on a plane and first class. We are now riding in first class. We have got phenomenal facilities. Our construction lab is at this point the best in the country. And that's not me trying to promote Purdue. That's our 220 plus companies that came to our fall career fair that go and recruit students from other universities, and they've all said the same thing. It is top notch. It is, an amazing facility. We've got a gantry crane, which is an overhead crane with remote control systems. We can build 5 tiny houses at one time. We build a 2-story steel structure there. We also have state-of-the-art estimating and scheduling labs, great computers loaded up with the latest and greatest industry software. We have our surveying lab, which has become the Trimble Technology Lab. Trimble, for those of you who don't know, is very big in the surveying world, probably the largest company in the world for surveying equipment. And they are sponsoring our lab and have given us great tools to use. And I think on Purdue's Day of Giving in April, we will have 3 more announcements of international either manufacturers or companies that provide software and tools and technology to the construction industry will be part of our family at Purdue, bringing us even greater equipment and software and technology into the lab space. If you want to find out who those 3 companies are, you're going to have to join Construction Management Technology. I can't tell you until April. So, and we have soils and concrete lab. And fortunately, we even kept our old home, which was our home for 50 years or just over 50 years. That has now become a construction research lab. So our faculty members that work in that world now have a lab that they can use to study robotics and kind of the future of construction. So at this point, we have filled every potential gap in our space. And we look forward to growing into that space and doing fantastic things in the future.
Yeah, those are some big things coming our way. That's awesome. You know, with the Trimble lab, we got a new paint job too. We've got those fancy XR10 headsets that hopefully we'll get to dabble with as well. So it's really interesting just to see the construction and then technology really like just mixing so well together. So it's pretty cool.
I
Okay.
would also add in there, we have an awesome person that manages all those lab facilities too.
Shout out.
Ms. Rosita Lopez, who is our monitor tonight. So
It is so true. That is so true. Thank you. And honestly, it is really cool. We've talked about even using the old construction lab for research. So it's going to be really interesting to see what our department comes out with. So, thanks, Bryan. All right, moving forward, we've got, let's talk to the students a little bit. Luke, we're going to go with you first. What's it like for you as a current Purdue student to have access to these brand new facilities? What's it like?
I'm gonna be a little honest. I'm jealous of all these freshmen that get to be in the new construction lab. You know, I was out in the old one in the dungeon of Noy, but no, it's really cool. You know, I talk with a lot of the professors that teach that and the kids going through it and hearing on what they get to do and what the future's looking like for this program. It's really exciting seeing how much funding and resources is getting into this program.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. You're just gonna have to come back, Luke. That's all. That's how it works. Nick, same question for you. What's your favorite thing about being in a major that gets to use this $140 million building? And how much of a factor should facilities be for future students who's choosing between Purdue and other universities?
Yeah, absolutely. Like everyone else alluded to, it's the state-of-the-art building. It's beautiful. It has this big open concept, a lot of natural lighting, and I think that that makes you eager to go to class every day. And being blessed to be one of the first groups of students that get to use the lab and utilize the computer labs and the technology that's provided, um, it means a lot. It really means a lot. And I think that when you're going around looking at colleges, it's something, really important to know, um, that these people that they care about you, they're doing their best to provide, again, state-of-the-art technology, companies, resources, for yourself and your education. So I definitely consider that and come by. It's beautiful.
Yeah. You mentioned that natural lighting. Yeah, that's great. Great on the skin. I mean, that's what we need, right? Absolutely.
Hey,
So,
Rosita, could I
oh,
add one thing?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's go, Mark.
Now I got to remember what I was going to add, actually. I was so excited. I was like, I got to tell them about this. Um, the the construction lab, it's truly a one of a kind. I mean, Luke said it. We were in the dungeon before. No windows, right? Is probably a good place because sometimes we get a little loud. Now we're a little more of a fishbowl in our lab, so the public walks by and sees what we're doing. Guests to Purdue get to see what we're building, and it creates a lot of excitement in for our program, right? To see buildings going up and see students running a crane and in all their PPE or personal protective equipment. We're in there in our hard hats and our safety glasses and building buildings. But to your earlier question about construction managers, right? We're in there building these tiny houses, but we're teaching the students how to manage, and they might be managing their fellow students, which sometimes creates a little, conflict. But that's a good thing, right? We want them to learn how to deal with people, how to work through that and still complete the project on time and on budget. So it's just truly a phenomenal facility.
Yeah, absolutely. Like getting to see, like, being a part of that and building that and seeing the aftermath. It is artwork, man. I'm telling you, like, it's really cool to see in the construction lab. Just walking by, because you've got these huge windows, you can just look right through and see what's going on. I mean, it's really cool. Danielle. Okay, Danielle. So our future students almost always ask about computer recommendations, right? So would you talk a little bit about the computers and the software that students use when they're on campus for our 3 majors? Plus, what would you recommend if students want to get a laptop or desktop computer of their own?
Yeah, I'm sorry, all you Mac lovers, but it's not super compatible with what we do here at Purdue, especially in construction management. Definitely recommend Windows for sure. I've heard students say there are some workarounds, but I don't know if it's quite worth all that effort. That being said, we do have two computer labs on the 4th floor, 1 computer lab on the 1st floor of Dudley Hall. You're welcome to use those machines, every bit of software on them that you could need for any of your assignments. I think that Nick and Luke might be better at giving, since they are current students, their input on computers.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Yeah,
You want
well,
me? Okay.
while you're still getting ready to come to Purdue, just buy a Dell or something. It was a good easy switch for me, and it's really compatible with all the programs that we run in our programs, like CGT, your construction and graphics technology class that you're going to be taking your freshman year. And like it was mentioned earlier, we have computer labs. I utilize it all the time. My classmates utilize it all the time. That's why it's there, and it has all the programs you need on it. So you could definitely get your lab work done in the spaces provided in the new building.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I'll throw in real quick with the DCI students. I think it's very similar. Although we do have 2 studio classes, and by DCI I mean design and construction integration students. We have 2 studio classes where they're actually doing some design with Revit, and they do some renderings with those. And so a little higher end graphics card for that major would be good. But fortunately, in our new building, we have access to some of the CGT computers, which are, I'll be honest, they're actually just high-end gaming computers, but they're really what's needed for this thing. So so we have access to that. You don't need it, but I do find our DCI students do tend to look for something with a little higher end graphics card for some of the renderings.
And
Yeah.
I'll piggyback on that if I can, Rosita.
Oh, yeah.
Since he brought up the design, I mean, the building information modeling is nothing but graphics, so definitely going higher end for that major as well, because you will be doing renderings in most of your classes.
Yeah, I've heard that the latest Macs with the M1, M2, and M3 chips can run Windows in emulation, but I'm not sure how that works for our students. And for viewers who might not know, Professor Hubbard mentioned CGT. So that is our Department of Computer Graphics Technology. So another cool major college here in Polytechnic. All right, Mark, do students in any or all three of our majors participate in senior capstone projects? And what are those projects like for them?
Yeah, we have 2 semesters of senior capstone. Um, so the students will take part in that. The first semester is what's called an RFP, a request for proposal. So they act as a company, right? They set up a company on paper. Um, they are given a job site and a job description, and they have to recreate the RFP. So a full schedule, full budget, safety plan, logistics plan, everything you would need to run a project. It takes the full semester. There's a lot of work to do. Some of these are, 75 to 100 pages that your team is working on. And then at the end of the semester, you're going to present to industry judges to kind of get a real world look at how your team performed and what you produced. So it's a great class. Our second semester of the senior capstone is kind of now moving into the construction phase. So we take those projects and we try to throw real world problems at them on a weekly basis. Today on your job site, you had 2 inches of rain overnight. So you showed up to the job, you've got 2 inches of rain. How does that affect your schedule? How does that affect your trades for the day? How are you going to problem solve? So we just are constantly trying to throw them challenges to overcome. We are making a change in that second semester, something that we wanted to see those that are basically graduating that semester. So we're going more to a project based in that future iteration of CM 450, and we have lined up a industry partner to be our funding agency and a community partner, and that class will be out, in the lab and then out in the field. And we're going to actually build real projects, modular or components, deliver them to a job site, and install them for a community partner. And what we were trying to do is take that first semester of the senior capstone on paper, which is what we do. It's called pre-construction. That's kind of your bidding process, but then give them a taste of what it's like. So we wanted a real owner involved, real dollars at stake, and a real schedule that they have to hit. This is not make believe. They're going to have to produce and do an installation and keep the owner happy and hit the schedule. So we think that's really going to add a nice dynamic piece for our students that are just about ready to graduate. So it's very, very exciting. The nice thing with blending these majors as they get towards their senior capstone project is there's a BIM major, let's say. Well, they would be working as a subcontractor to the construction management team, just like we do in the real world, right? Our architecture and engineering would be doing all of our drawings for the construction team. So it's not a simulation, right? The students are actually having to work through those challenges and the communication pieces and how that all plays out in the real world. We get to do it here at Purdue just because we have multiple majors.
Wow, that project base, like that's in CM 450, that I love that. That's really cool. That's like real life experiences. You can't beat that. That stuff that's gonna really stick. That really sets us apart from a lot of other majors. So that's really exciting to hear.
Yeah, some of our students are going to learn by reading or watching, and some of our students learn by doing. So we need to make sure, I mentioned earlier about hitting different learning styles. Well, that last semester they're going to do, right?
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we don't want to upset a community partner or anybody else. So it's very exciting.
That is great to hear. Well, Bryan, it's your turn. Batter up. Would you please tell us about any requirements for internships or other real world experiences required for students in any of our 3 majors?
So it's interesting you asked me the internship question, because when I started at Purdue, that was my job, was to help manage internships. And it's such a great thing that students in the construction world can get internships very early on. In some majors, you know, a lot of times you have to wait till you're a sophomore, junior, until you've had some of your classes. The construction industry has always embraced internships and always embraced students as early as you can to get out on the construction site. So our students will typically be able to land an internship between their freshman and sophomore year. In fact, I would plan on, you know, if you're kind of looking at your career at Purdue, that you're going to be doing an internship that first summer. And you can, you know, kind of be somewhat close to home or go see the world, right? There's opportunities all over the country to take part in the internships. As faculty, we love to have students who've been out on internships, because they, you know, in our courses, we can actually run those quicker. They, you know, we know what you know, they've seen. And so the learning process is great too. And that's one of the reasons we require an internship. We require 800 hours. And if you do the math, that's really, you know, 2 10-week summers. So, you know, if you didn't get one your freshman year, you need to get an internship between your after your sophomore year and after your junior year. It's never been a problem. Students can always typically find an internship. We have so many companies looking. And like I said, they want to participate in the education of our students and have someone help build their projects. And you mentioned other real world types of things. We have the co-op program. We don't have a lot of students do the co-op program, but we do have some students that'll work a summer and then decide to work maybe in the fall semester afterwards, or start in the spring semester and work through the summer. It's not a formal co-op program, but it's kind of like that. And so there's different options you can do with working. You know, we've got a company right now that is hiring students during the semester when they don't have classes. That's Fluor, that's down in Lebanon at the Eli Lilly project. So they go down there typically once a day if they don't have classes. So those are interesting real world. And then, of course, I'd always want to mention the study abroads. I actually run some study abroads, and it's a great opportunity to see construction and architecture in a different country. So.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity to study abroads. Be really cool to go out and kind of see internationally speaking, you know. Yeah, so we actually help find internships as well. We've got the construction management career fair twice each year. Pretty cool. It's both for finding full-time jobs after you graduate, but also for connecting you with those companies for the internships. What's where you go, you grab your resume, get it updated, and then you just go and network and have conversations with different companies. You know, it's amazing just to see to be around all those companies all at one time. So perfect. So Luke, what about your internship experiences? I know you've got some. How'd it go?
Yeah, so I've been, I was blessed to know what I wanted to do early on. So I've had 5 total internships starting middle of my senior year of high school. And I've had an internship every summer since. But I mean, I've never worried about getting an internship. I know that if something at the career fair doesn't work out, that I've got other connections. I've got you guys. I've got other professors that can lean on to kind of help me get something coordinated out. But they've all been great experiences. I've learned I've learned about half as much as I know from those internships as well. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Nick, how about you? How's your internship experiences?
Yeah, building up on what Luke said, my internship experiences have been great, fantastic. They bridge the gap between the classroom and full-time careers, and I think they complement each other as well. So I could translate something I learned in my classroom to provide value to the company I'm interning with, and likewise when I return back to Purdue for the fall semester, I'm bringing new ideas and concepts that I learned in the field and applying it to my classroom, and not just exposing myself to that information, but also sharing it with my friends the same way that they share their internship experiences with myself. It's a great trade-off, and you learn so much because the construction industry is there's so much to it, and there's so much to learn, and getting to share those ideas and information with my peers has been fantastic. Um, like what Luke said, like what you said, Rosita, repeating off of that, the career fair has been amazing. People will literally grab you out of the line and say, hey, look, let's talk, let's make something happen. Um, so Purdue is great for that. It's fantastic, and I can only speak highly of the internship experiences I've had, and what's done for me so far.
That's great. Thanks. Thank you so much. Danielle, so are students in any of our three majors able to do a double major or a minor? I don't know, whatever they're feeling, right? Or any other kinds of certificates that complements their major? And how easy is it with the 4-year plan?
I would say the key is to work with and communicate with your academic advisor. And if you know that it's something you want to do, definitely communicate early on that it's something you want to do. We have 3 published plans of study, one specific to construction management, design and construction integration, building information modeling, but no 2 students are going to get there the same way. So the academic advisors help you build your own personal plan of study that will involve if you want to try to do a double major, which, by the way, oftentimes is going to take more than 4 years. But every student is different, and maybe you brought in a bunch of AP credit and dual credit, and maybe we can still knock it out. I have learned recently that Purdue University is one of the only universities that makes students meet with them at least once a semester. So I think that that's a really good thing for students to check in and talk about their plans, because Luke, for instance, is one of my students. And I know early on he wanted to do a minor and he wanted to do a certificate. So I worked with him and made sure that both of those things plugged into his plan of study. We try to overlap requirements as much as we can so that we're not taking extra classes as much as we can. Construction management, for instance, has 4 free electives, and that's very helpful for minors and certificates. Definitely some minors are more popular than others here with this major, but again, work with your academic advisor. We're more than happy to see how things can plug in and work, and we do our best to all get it done within the 4-year window.
Oh yeah, I'm always seeing students in your office, you and the other 2. I mean, it's awesome just to see, them having that relationship with you. I think that really speaks volumes, and especially to the students. And you guys really are hands-on when it comes to making sure that they're getting their stuff done. And if not, you're gonna call Luke out and talk to him about it, right?
I'm in that office a lot too. She has really good candy, so that's kind of.
Yes, yes.
Rosita, can I also add another thing that I forgot? Each of the 3 majors also has a minor. So within one of our 3 majors, you could be minoring in the other. So I definitely, if a student wants to talk about double majoring, I first look and see, even outside of the Polytechnic, is there a minor instead that we could evaluate and see if that would do just as good of a job rather than trying to do that double major. But definitely the building information modeling is a very popular minor with our design and construction integration students. It's a pretty popular minor with our construction management students. And then on the flip side, the building information modeling students oftentimes get the construction management minor. So a lot of play can be done within just even the 3 majors and the 3 minors that we offer.
Yeah, you got a lot of options. That's awesome. Excuse me. All right. Nick, this is coming to you. Let's ask, so how do you balance classwork with life as a Purdue student? And are you in any student orgs?
Yeah, so, full-time student and everything else after class. I'm not sure if being a resident assistant counts as being in a student organization, but that takes the bulk of my time outside of class. And the biggest thing is that there's so much time in the day to get stuff done. And I believe in balance. It's important to work hard. It's important to play harder. And just managing your time correctly and utilizing the lab time, utilizing your group work and group activities to make sure you get it done at your best quality. The best quality possible, but also realizing that it's college and it's really important to get your work done, but it's really important to balance other priorities in your life. And I could say that, it's just all about yourself and your personal grit and what you want out of your experience.
All right. It sounds like a great experience. I mean, we're almost there, right, Nick? Luke, so same question for you.
Yeah, so I'm in two other organizations, Mechanical Contract Association, and then Steps to Leap students. So as well as I also work a part-time job, and then I've got a very big social life that I've got to keep intact as well. But it's pretty fun. I would like to say I do a pretty good job balancing it. Right now, Mark, cover yours, but I'm on cruise control right now as I graduate in May. So, we might make a few sacrifices to go out one night, um, but yeah, it hasn't been too bad. It's a big learning curve freshman year, but once you kind of find your way of managing it, it gets way easier after that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And either one of you guys, are you guys in the learning community?
Yes,
No. All
I
right.
am.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Danielle, do you want to talk a little bit about the learning community?
Sure. So the learning community is a group of students all in the same major who can choose to live together, although that's not required. I would recommend it, but it's not required. You do have a couple of classes together, so everybody will be in CM 100, which is the introductory class, and then everybody will be in CM 164, which is the graphics class, and specifically in the lab. So everybody's in the lecture, but it'll chisel down to the lab is just your learning community, a group of students. So you really get to know each other. As a learning community instructor, I try to hold a lunch once a week. And so we just have a group me chat and decide where we're going, usually by a Friday, and all meet up. And I try to put together like a construction site tour using some of our industry partners. They're very open to taking us on tours and anything else that comes up. Sometimes we tour Ross Aid, or I know I've had some requests from Mackey Arena. So I think it's fun. Luke still shows up. Luke was a learning community student as a freshman. He's still involved as a senior. So you can get as involved as you want to be. And I think it's a good time.
Oh, absolutely. When we went to the football stadium, I mean, that was really cool to see, like to be able to walk the grounds and just to be able to talk with them and see that. It was a lot of fun, especially with the students. Love the learning community, guys. Love it. All right, perfect. So Mark, next question is for you. The placement rate for our construction management technology majors, it's already been mentioned, it's 100%, which means that most years of the graduates who respond to the survey, 100% of them confirm that they've had those job offers or that they're continuing their education. So why are our graduates in such a high demand?
Well, I think it's kind of twofold, right? It's a growing industry. It's an industry that is short-staffed, but I think more important than that, it's probably our connection with our industry partners. I mentioned before that, our fall career fair, we had over 220 companies. Spring career fair, I think we were around 170 companies. Um, but beyond them coming to our career fair, the day before the career fair, we have a CAC, the Construction Advisory Council. And these are companies that are more a part of our program than just showing up for the career fair. So that we spend the entire day with them. There's a board meeting in the morning. Then we do a lunch and roundtables, and we talk about different topics, whether it's the future of construction or the labor market or technology or just any challenges that we're having at Purdue or the industry is having. And we try to work on those to solve those together. They also help with our curriculum to make sure that we're teaching kind of the latest and greatest, whether it's software or techniques or building code. So um, I think what sets us apart and why we have that 100% job placement is because of our industry ties. The industry knows that we're trying to stay current. They appreciate that. They help with that. And I think they acknowledge our efforts and our students' efforts by seeking out our students, right? And trying to put them at the top of the list. And we've had a great track record now for over 50 years, and we just plan on continuing that and growing the program and deepening our ties with industry. So when industry comes looking for their next employee, Purdue's their first stop.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah. It's really neat to see, like with the CAC, where freshmen get to come and interact face to face with a person. It's not over the phone, it's face to face. Let's have a conversation. It's a lot less intimidating, at least for me. But it's still really, really cool to see.
And we bring industry into the classroom.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
every week there's industry partners on campus in our classroom helping teach content, and everything from superintendents to trade workers, all the way up to CEOs of multi-billion-dollar construction companies are in our classroom, helping teach content and provide case studies and in that real world example. So I think that helps the companies, it helps Purdue, it helps our students.
Yeah, absolutely. Find that bridge. Bryan, what's your perspective on why graduates from our school, from those three majors, are uniquely qualified for success after Purdue?
So we've talked a lot about this tonight, and so I would really quite simply just state, they're Boilermakers. Let's just start there. Our university is known for turning out great students. We have a long history in the construction industry, one of the oldest programs in the country. There has been so many people come through this program, go into the industry, become very successful, come back and support this program and hire our students. And their expectations are that we're going to keep cranking out these unbelievable, great students that have a great work ethic and know what they need to do on the construction site. And so it's part history and part that we keep the program rolling with our new facilities, our great faculty, our great staff. The alumni support, our industry support. It's just so many people supporting. So.
All right. Well, quick question for the students. Luke, Nick, have you guys ever been in any competitions before? We'll start with Luke first.
Yeah, like you mean for organization competitions or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for my club, Mechanical Contractors Association, we put together a whole RFP as a mechanical subcontractor. I've done that the last 2 years, and the really fun part about it is last year our convention was in Phoenix, and this year our convention's out in Orlando. So I get to go spend a week in Orlando, as well as my spring break plans. So, but yeah, it's really good. You know, it's a great learning experience just to learn more of that side of the construction side and once we get industry opinions on our RFPs before we submit it. It's just a great experience to learn more.
Yeah, I bet. And especially with like competing with other students, other kids your age and stuff like that, I think it's really cool to see that as well. See what they're coming up with, and making those networking, you know, ties with them as well. Nick, have you had any opportunity to do any student, competitions?
So I'm not as heavily involved in NHP how I should be, but I know that this year, like every year, I think they're going to Las Vegas, and like Luke mentioned, they're given this scenario, they came up with a solution to it. They're going to pitch it in front of industry judges, as well as many other universities across the country. So I know it's a great opportunity, real world learning experiences, and a lot of industry professionals come in and help us, and critique, our the presentation we're going to give in Vegas. So it's just great to be a part of and to watch and learn from my peers and whoever else is involved in these competition teams.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mark, are you joining them in Las Vegas?
Yeah, yes, we're taking out 41 students here in 2 weeks.
Ooh.
That's 3 teams going out to Las Vegas to the International Builder Show, and lots of events that we take part in the National Housing Endowment and Kohler, and a lot of big industry players, international players, and then of course compete in the competition. Um, we have a tendency to Purdue to do things big. So we were the first university to have an all-female team. We were the first university to bring 2 teams. Now we're the first university to bring 3 teams. Our competition teams, this is with the National Association of Home Builders. We are the largest student chapter in the United States at Purdue. So it's going to be a lot of fun, but that's probably why I've lost some hair and turning a little gray, taking 40 plus college students to Las Vegas every year. So, but we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great event, and hopefully we bring home some trophies this year.
Yes, fingers crossed. I can't wait. Can't wait to see what you guys come up with. They've been working really hard, NAHB. So, yeah, good luck with that. Danielle, it's nearly time to wrap up our broadcast, and I'd like to ask you for some advice. What should students do to be successful at Purdue?
I mean, high school students are going to think it sounds silly, but go to class. I mean, that's a huge thing. You don't know how much freedom you have once you're in college. You don't have mom and dad making sure you get out of bed. You don't have teachers calling mom and dad saying, "Hey, your kid wasn't in school today." It's all on you. And your schedule is going to look a lot different. You might have a class at 9:30 in the morning, and then you might not have another class until 3:30 in the afternoon. And what are you going to do with that gap? And how do you convince yourself to, if you go back to your dorm, to go back outside when it's 20 degrees outside to get to that 3:30 class? So much information is given when you go to class. The exams and quizzes are going to pull from what the instructor is saying, not just what's in the textbook. So that is my main advice, and ask questions. If nothing else, if you don't know where to go, ask your academic advisor and we will help you, direct you where to go. And definitely, your faculty if it has something to do with your class.
Wow. Just that easy. Just show up, right? Nick, same question for you.
Yeah, I'd start off by saying with, get a mentor. There's so many people here at Purdue who's willing to help you, and it could be anybody. It could really be anybody. So I've had mentors during my time here at Purdue. I still have a couple, and they've helped me grow so much, so much. There's no words for it. And not just that, but build some structure in your day. Like I was mentioned, you'll have these gaps. It's really important what you do in those gaps. And I think those are the 2 biggest things that have kept me on track and that, could potentially help you get on track as well.
Yeah, that's some great advice. Yeah. especially getting a mentor. I think that's really, really be impactful. Luke, you get to have the last word, man. Look at you.
dear.
So what's your advice for the future students?
My advice kind of piggybacks on his get a mentor. As scary as they look, talk to your professors, ask them for help. As long as you're willing to put in your end of the work, they're willing to help you get to your goal. And it's always good to have that great relationship with them because you never know if you're going to be asking them to help you find a job. So yeah, talk to your professors.
That there you go. That's all he wrote. Okay, perfect. Well, we're pretty much at the end. So does anyone have anything else to kind of touch on? All right. Okay. All right. So thank you everyone. That concludes our discussion tonight. Thanks again to all of you for watching and for submitting questions. And we hope you've learned something new about the School of Construction Management Technology. Hopefully something that inspires you to accept your offer of admission at Purdue. Thank you again to all our panelists for joining us and sharing your wisdom and experience. And if you joined us late, be sure to watch the replay because we've covered a whole variety of different topics throughout the hour. Thanks as well to Harley Barta, who's been answering questions. Thank you so much. Shout out to Harley. And to John, our technical director, for all the behind the scenes work. As I mentioned before, please feel free to send email to techrecruit@purdue.edu if you've got any additional questions for us about construction management technology or Purdue. We hope you will join us for one or more upcoming events for our admitted students, including Purdue for Me, which is an opportunity to visit campus with your family. What? There are also many online information sessions and student-to-student chats. You can find information for all of those opportunities on our admitted student information page. There is another live YouTube broadcast 1 week from tonight for all students admitted to Polytechnic majors. It's called Student Life and Last Minute Questions. It will be a more personal focus on what it's like being a Purdue student. So you might want to tune in on February 20th, which is 1 week from now. All right, 1 week from now. All of our broadcasts are listed online at polytechnic.purdue.edu/live. Just a quick reminder, the deadline to accept your offer admission is May 1st. It's coming up. So thanks again for being here tonight and have a great evening and boiler up.